Today we're taking a look at the Supcase Unicorn Beetle Pro case, the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. I've always been a fan of the Supcase Unicorn Beetle cases. I've used them on my Galaxy S9, my LG G8, my S22 Ultra, and now on my S23 Ultra. The Supcase UB Pro cases are known by the fan base to be incredibly durable and ultra protective cases. There's two front frame options for the Supcase UB Pro for the S23 Ultra. You can either go with the open front frame option if you prefer no screen protector, or if you want to use your own. The case also comes with a front frame option that has a built-in screen protector. I think this definitely increases the overall value of the case because you're not going to have to buy another screen protector and you know it'll fit perfectly. Whether you go with the open frame or the screen protector frame, that frame is going to snap on to the top side of the phone. The main case body, which offers the bulk of the protection, will actually wrap and snap around that piece to form a very tight interlocking connection. This interlocking connection will be very strong. When phones are dropped in cases like this, it's very unlikely that the case will ever split apart, which means that your smartphone will stay protected. Some of the more rigid or inflexible type of cases will actually split apart, and then you can actually end up having damage on your phone. In my opinion, this type of case construction provides the ideal amount of maximum protection for a smartphone like an S23 Ultra. In looking at this case, we have excellent corner protection. The corners are actually reinforced, so when the phone is dropped inside of this case, the impact forces should be absorbed and redistributed throughout the rest of the case, protecting the glass on your S23 Ultra. This is especially handy when you drop your phone from one of those awkward kind of tumbles when your phone just flies out of your hand. A lot of times the phone can end up doing flips or twirls, impacting the ground more than once, so it may hit the top right corner, then the bottom left, something like that. So having this feature is definitely nice. I also noticed while testing and using this case that the sides of the case have these grippy sections on them. This is pretty handy, especially if your hands are wet from sweat or rain or whatever, because it adds a little bit of a grip factor so you can hold the phone better. In terms of the overall drop protection, Supcase actually rates this case at a protection level of a maximum of 20 feet, meaning you could drop the phone up to 20 feet and the phone should survive inside of this case. That's not something I'm going to do, but that does sound pretty well built to me. This case actually comes with a belt clip. This is actually super handy for people who have pretty active jobs or are moving around a lot and they need quick access to the phone. Getting back to the overall protection of the phone, we can see that the top and the bottom bezels on this case are raised up quite a bit from the Z height or level of the screen itself. This is actually a super critical case protection feature because these bezels are raised so high and it's both the harder rigid frame and the TPU-like rubber material. This means that if you drop your phone onto a flat surface, for example, basement floor made out of concrete or a kitchen floor made out of tile, that the phone's screen will not actually make contact with the floor, because that means that these bezels at the top and the bottom, which extend the complete length widthwise of the S23 Ultra, will absorb and redistribute the impact forces, saving the glass on your screen. In fact, I would probably say that the Supcase UB Pro that I'm looking at today has some of the tallest and thickest bezels at the top and the bottom of the phone. I would probably put this at one of the most protective type of cases that I've actually looked at so far. As for functionality on the backside, it does look like we do have a kickstand on this case. I actually find myself using my phone with the kickstand up in the vertical position when I'm doing video calls in the office, and then when I'm at home or doing other work, I flip the phone on its side and I watch YouTube videos or movies that way. As for the camera protection here, we can see that the traditional cutout for the camera lenses is relatively large, but it's actually very deep as well. This is super critical to camera protection because when the phone does get dropped and it lands on the backside, if it's a flat surface like that basement floor or your kitchen floor, there's pretty much no chance that those lenses are coming into contact with anything. It's hard to measure here, but I'm thinking we have about 3, maybe even 4 millimeters worth of clearance, and that's probably the best amount of clearance that I've seen on a case yet. As for protecting the USB-C port on the phone, Supcase has you covered here with a durable rubber flap or plug that helps you keep out water, moisture, dirt, other debris, things that are going to get into that port and damage it over time. In terms of getting the S Pen in and out, there really wasn't any issues at all. I think the amount of space that they dedicate to the S Pen bay is very generous here. In terms of the cutouts for the microphone and the speakers, I really didn't have any issues here. The sound quality for both playing music back and talking into the phone was perfect. In terms of charging, no issues with USB-C charging obviously, and when I tested this on my wireless Qi charger, I didn't have any issues either. As for the front frame that had the screen protector, I didn't really have too much of an issue with the fingerprint reader. I did end up rescanning my fingerprint, which helped in terms of accuracy with unlocking the phone, and you can turn up the sensitivity for the fingerprint sensor as well. After rescanning and increasing the sensitivity, I didn't really have any issues unlocking the phone, which is super nice to see, because I actually like the included screen protector quite a bit. I think it's just the right thickness in order to protect the screen from everyday type of things that are probably going to scratch it over time. Overall, I would have to say that this case is very robust. This is the kind of case that you're going to want to buy if you're very bad with your phones. If you drop them, you're constantly cracking phones, this is the case for you. If you have a super active job, if you're working outside, construction, or just anything where you're constantly reaching for your phone, this is probably going to be a pretty good option for you as well. And the case does include that belt clip that I had mentioned earlier. The overall amount of extra material and the volume and way that this case is spaced out is really going to protect your S23 Ultra. But the flip side of that means if you are one of those people that likes a really slim fit, you don't want to add a lot of volume to your smartphone, the Supcase UB Pro is not going to be the case for you. The UB Pro series is generally regarded as one of the most protective cases for whatever smartphone you're applying it to. This case is going to add weight and volume. The case is weighing in at just under 8 ounces, which is pretty heavy for a case. So right there you kind of know that this is really meant to be an ultra protective case. Like I said, the only downside to this type of case is while it provides substantial smartphone protection, is that it is a little bit heavier and it does add more overall volume to the smartphone's profile. All of this being said though, the Supcase UB Pro is definitely S tier level for your S23 Ultra in terms of protection. I'll have links to the Supcase UB Pro case, as well as the S23 Ultra, and a couple of accessories that are handy to have in the description below, so definitely check that out. If you like this one, smash that like button so YouTube can share this with more Galaxy S23 Ultra owners. Smartphones and mobile tech are what I do, so if this kind of stuff interests you, make sure to get subscribed to the channel and ring that bell for notifications on new videos. Until next time, stay charged up.